Welcome back, my gardening friends. As some of you know, I've built this raised bed which is 6 meters long, 600 millimeters deep, and it's 700 wide. That will take an awful lot of material to fill this, but as my viewers will know, I grow all my fruit and vegetables using my homemade compost mixes and liquid plant foods. So with a mixture of all those, I'm hoping to fill this and in layers. So and this is going to be mainly for carrots, but could be for other things. So the roots don't need manure, so we'll be looking at that. I've built it so that I've got enough room down each side. The blue barrels at the bottom will be duplicated here. I've got 2 water tanks in the polytunnel now, and I've done a little bit of work to this. This mixture in here is mainly cocoa coir and some soil. This is my leaf mould. In the polytunnel I find everything dries out really quickly. Now this is where I tried the long carrots in the corner. If you remember, I had some long carrots and we had a great laugh when I pulled those out. Hysterical. And this is more of a sand mix, so it's just got no body to it at all, no moisture retention. So all these barrels, I'm taking a bit out of these, and we'll just move over to this side of the polytunnel. Now this is from the raised beds. You can just about see the wooden battens there. They've all gone rotten, so I made the decision to take everything out now and move into either the plastic containers that are recycled. This is recycled. I've done a few more improvements to it, and originally it cost about a couple of quid in screws. With the extra improvements it's another 20 pence. So for just over £2 I built all this recycled materials, plastic, anything else that I could get out of skips, etc. And some of this has got worm castings and everything in, and it doesn't look bad material. And the first few shovelfuls I put this into the bottom. Then we've got some compost that gets fly tipped by the cannabis growers, and this has got some of the perlite in. I remembered it this time, Brian, and everyone else who put me right last time. And this is the compost from this year's potatoes out of the dustbins. It's very wet, so I've had to bring it in just to dry it because it's very difficult to sieve. So with these being about 650 deep, we've got a lot of area to fill. So the first layer was just the material from out of the old bed into the bottom. I was finding 1 or 2 stones, but I wasn't too concerned at the time, but I've changed what I do. Then we put a layer of manure in, then we sieved some more of that material, put on top, and then we just agitated it, mixed it in. Then we put another layer of manure on the top of that. Now this will sink, so we're now probably 400 before the manure, roughly where I want my carrots. Now I've sieved some of the leaf mould, and you'll probably see that there. You can probably see the leaf mould within that. And the reason I put it there was because it got worms in. So the worms are in the right area and they could be working away. And then I've done a mix of a few of the things that you've just seen. Now the potato compost has still got manure in it, so that'll be too strong for the carrots. I've been mixing a bit of the spent compost with the perlite in, just to give it some body. And then we've got cocoa coir and soil and compost leaf mould in these bins. I'm adding some of this for more drainage because it's more of a sandy type thing that we use for growing our carrots in and parsnips, etc. And then the leaf mould is a moisture retaining substance. Now I probably won't be sieving this once it gets closer to the top. I don't think the root vegetables will. I will perhaps take the odd twig out, but other than that. So all these materials look great until you put them through the sieve. So before I level this out, because I've only put this in so that it doesn't cover this, so I could show you what I was doing below. So we've got more manure to go in there, more sieve soil from, well, the mix, and then I can put some manure on the top of that, and then this can be spread out, and then we can start looking at the layers as we get closer to the top. First of all, I want to sieve some of this material and show you some of the rubbish that is actually in it. So this is the sieve I'm using, and you could probably see that it's very fine. Now this is the sort of size that you'd probably want in the bottom of this to stop any mice getting in, but I'm not too worried about that. So first of all, I'll start off with the sandy mix. So this is in a bucket, so I can just tip a bit in. It's got all sorts in it. You see, very dry, ideal for sieving while it's dry, but not when our plants are growing. So this is what was I was trying to grow my long carrots in. And we've still got some small debris. Not too bad. Wouldn't have hurt any of the carrots in that. This is the spent compost. I normally run this through the sieve, mainly because of the large roots. The roots don't rot very well down off cannabis plants. I've tried that once before in the compost bin, so anything that doesn't go through the sieve will be recycled. So we've got a bit of perlite through there, and that's spent compost. Now the actual soil from out of the raised beds from the polytunnel that I've been adding material to, worm castings, etc., looks good stuff until you sieve it, and then you realise how much rubbish is actually in it. I'll just move that bit of glass. So that's what's been in my raised beds. Not ideal for drainage, but there's all sorts of debris in there. So the material from this year's potatoes, a little bit damp, so it does take a little bit of getting through, but with this having lumps of manure still in it, will affect any root crops. So there we've got manure, and there's quite a bit there actually, so we'll just give that a little helping hand. And I'll always just have a quick check for any worms, because every worm counts. So that's the rubbish that's actually in there. So there's a few wood chips that I normally put on top, a few stones and debris. That's probably come out the compost bin. Oh, I've got a shovel full of the cocoa coir next. Just got to come up behind you. Again, this looks good stuff. I didn't sieve it when it went in there when I grew some of my giant vegetable. There's a lot of cocoa coir in here. As you can see, there's a lot of debris. Now I do find that the worm castings, if they not mixed in with the soil, they go very lumpy. I might be able to find some later on that I didn't, that went into a trench. But again, there's a lot of debris in there, so well worth spending this time sieving this material. So with all those ingredients in, I've just been giving it a little turn. You can see the compost, the sand and everything else coming through, and I found by mixing it like that straight away, it gives it a good uniform. And I'm hoping that once this bed, I haven't watered it yet because I need to level it out, but this bed, because a lot of this material's really dry, I've got to soak it in layers. But what I'm going to do now is go and get some more manure in the bottom, get that layered out, then I can spread this all the way through. So time to get a little bit of manure in. Now allegedly horse manure hasn't got that many nutrients in it, but by gum it does retain the moisture. That's a little bit more in there. I'll actually shovel this material in. Just blurt that in. Mars will do a good job with that. Now the manure should be far enough down to stop the carrots from forking, but the little taproot will go down and draw off all that. And you've seen my parsnips and carrots before. This year I did have more carrots fork. I've looked back on my videos and I've seen some of the issues, and hopefully doing it this way now, making sure this is the right material. I'll just take that one out now and we can spread that along. But I think you get the idea. Just pause you for a while. So just for demonstration purposes, I've layered this out here now, but what I would normally do is just level this all the way through and give it a good soaking, which I can do in a moment, but always conscious of the battery running out and the time that's running now. So for this I'm going to be using leaf mould and the material from out of the tubs that's completely spent now. So this is the material from the bins. I'm going to sieve now. This is the material from out of the beds, which is completely spent. Spent compost from off the side of the road, which hasn't got any added nutrients, just completely spent. And then I'm going to add the leaf mould in roughly the same dose, depending on how much it does really take. Like I say, I'll take out any of the larger material. Leaf mould doesn't contain any value, but I'm hoping it'll retain the moisture around the carrot, so when we water it just doesn't all run away. Looking at that, I think I'm going to double up on the leaf mould. Just trial and error. see what it does look like. I can add water to this and water to that, equal amounts, and see how quickly it dries out. I'm not going to have time to finish this today. Now, the carrot box last year sunk incredibly low, so I will be building it up to let it settle over the cooler months, and then we'll get it all set out for planting at the right time. That's with the leaf moulding unsieved. As you can see, it's got a bit of body to it. Now, obviously that does need a bit more water, but you can see it does break up quite easily. Good drainage, ideal for that layer, hopefully. So it will be interesting to see how my carrots do in 2019. I'll sow them all at the same time. I did a second sowing last year, checking my blog, and the second sowing didn't do as well. So I'm going to sow them all. Whether I leave gaps for any of the other vegetables I'm growing, I'm not sure, but we eat lots of carrots, and well worth making sure I've got plenty. Thanks for watching, commenting. Any hints and tips, please let me know. And I have also forgotten, almost, I do need to add some lime to this to rejuvenate the compost, so the carrots do like a little bit of lime. Not too much, again, I'll experiment as we go, unless you know what the ratio of lime to soil is. Take care, my friends, till next time. Ta-ra for now.